We're in a home that was designed by architect Frank Lloyd Wright, one of the all-time greats. He ran into all kinds of obstacles and it was no problem for him. Once again, we've come to a basement that had a waterproofing system installed that needs to be replaced. That's why other companies walked off the job. We're going to be able to completely solve this whole thing. We're going to customize every inch of it. We're in Rockland County and we're really looking forward to this project. The person in charge of doing the other construction is meticulous, and it's great to work with a professional like that. He checked out all the other companies, and all of them said, hey, you're meticulous. If you want the job done right, exactly the way that you need it to be done, call American Dry Basement Systems. Once again, we've come to a basement that had a waterproofing system installed that needs to be replaced. I look at where the sump pump is. They got a pipe coming out through here. It failed and it's clogged. And that particular pipe, if you use it correctly, will clean itself. This one has failed. Obviously, they didn't follow the most important aspect, the cardinal rule of putting a subfloor water management system in, and that's the pitch and placement of the pipe. If you look here, it's what's called a hydrogap. They broke out the floor, they put their piping in. Obviously the piping's clogged because it's ineffective. They re-cemented, but they put a board across here. They left the board in. This is supposed to be taken out, and the space is to collect water. If you do the math and you have about an inch wide space, 4 to 5 inches thick, depending on how thick this floor is, and you figure all the way around the entire area where they put this system in, it'll hold maybe 50 gallons of water, 100 gallons of water. So it's a safety barrier to keep water from going in and getting right on top of the floor. It's not the right tool. What they need to do, in the way that American Dry Basement Systems does it, is that we have a flow channel, a drainage board which goes down the wall, across the footing, and allows any water coming underneath the wall across the top of the footing to go through this channel right into the main drainage. And it carries it to the pump and then pumped up out away from the house. In order to do this right, it's a tedious job, it's time consuming, and people don't want to spend the time, and it takes a lot of technical know-how. And without those three things, this is what you end up with. And with this particular scenario, you can tell by the color here that that orange color means iron ochre. It's a manganese-based bacteria that grows, and it plagues a lot of systems, and that's probably a good bit of what caused the system that was in here to fail. But if we can move back here, what this company did was they were dealing with a fairly normal situation, and they came around and all of a sudden they ran into this, a raised footing. So you have your floor up against the footing, and this thing goes down several inches below where that floor is. And if you go up top and you go to here, you can see the block sits directly on top of the footing. So you're going to have to deal with water getting into the wall. And if you look, they didn't paint over this. This happened after they put the paint on. That paint went on just like this, looking, you know, nice and clean and smooth. But what caused this is that water absorbed into the wall, filled up inside of the wall, and then absorbed through and pushed off that dry lock. This is all deterioration. If you look, and if you can see, it's all white powder inside of here. That powder is lime. It's the glue that holds the concrete together. It's a reaction with the water absorbing in. Also, the soil in the Northeast has a little bit of an acidic quality to it. And there's a reaction because lime and acid are opposites. And when they meet, this is the residue that's created, and that's actually the glue being leached out of the block. The less of this white powder in the concrete, the weaker the concrete. This all happened after they painted it because they locked all that water into the wall. Really bad idea. Waterproof the wall? Great idea. Wrong side of the wall. Do it on the outside. When you come in to do a waterproofing of a basement, the vast majority of the time it's one type of foundation or it's another type of foundation. This particular foundation has a traditional three-piece foundation. It goes over and it goes to a raised footing here, and then it goes to an extra raised footing here, And then if you look, the block is sitting directly on top of that raised footing. So it's kind of acting like a monopore, but normal drainage has to be installed underneath the floor by the vast majority of other companies. There's no way to do that here. That's why other companies walked off the job, and after so many companies came and tried, they even put in that a discharge line before they realized they had no way of addressing this particular problem. We're going to be able to completely solve this whole thing. We're going to customize every inch of it, but this is where it all changes. You have a regular foundation, it goes to a monolithic foundation, and then as we go, we follow this around, and it's a raised footing all the way, and it comes down, and this is another complete raised area where they put in a whole big pad of floor from here all the way to the back of the basement, and it actually cracked right down the middle. There could be several different reasons why it did that. It's a hybrid. It's like they've taken two different types of foundations, almost like a third version of it here, and they've mixed them all together. Reason usually is they're working around a very large hunk of ledge. If you look at this area here, I guarantee there's ledge underneath this entire floor, meaning rock. If you look at the walls, water's absolutely pouring through them, and you can see it, it's running down the walls. If you look at the bottom block, you can see the entire bottom block. That means up here, this is a monolithic pour, meaning the floor and the footing are all one piece, and that wall sits on top of the floor. So unlike the three-piece foundations where the wall sits on the footing and the floor is poured up against the side of the wall, totally different. So Frank, once again, has utilized a whole nother type of foundation in order to expand how much house he can actually build here. I haven't broken it up, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm willing to bet, because that's why you would do something like this, is because you ran into one massive big hunk of ledge, hunk of rock. Frank Lloyd Wright was extremely innovative. You can tell by the way that he put all these foundations together. He ran into all kinds of obstacles, and it was no problem for him. So it's extremely cool to be in a house like this, to see how he put it together and take on the challenge of waterproofing it to get it completely dry, which is what we're about to do. We're just ready to get underway. We've gotten all of our plastic up. The builder and the folks that own the home are meticulous, and that's why they call it American Dry Basement Systems. This is our strong suit. This is where we shine. We customize every inch of every job, and it's going to turn out great. If you liked the video, do me a favor and subscribe and hit the like button. And until next time, enjoy your dry crawl space and your dry basement.